Yang Mulia Tan Sri Datuk Paduka Tengku Nur Zakia Tengku Ismail, Founder Emeritus and Advisor of Kenanga Investment Bank Berhad, Yang Amat Mulia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Syed Anwar Jamalulail, the Chairman of Kenanga Investment Bank Berhad, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Panglima Haji Azam bin Baki, Chief Commissioner of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, Yang Berbahagia Mr. John D. Gill, the President of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Che Wai Leong, the Group Managing Director of Kenanga Investment Bank Berhad, members of the Board of Directors and Senior Management, and employees of Kenanga, our audiences from the regulatory, enforcement and professional bodies, financial institutions, as well as industry experts. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to everybody. I'm Isabel Zen from Kenanga's very own Equity Derivatives, and I have the privilege of being your MC for the day. On behalf of Kenanga, I'd like to extend our appreciation to you for joining us today for the official opening ceremony of Kenanga's 7th Fraud Awareness Week 2023. This year marks the 7th year Kenanga organizes the Fraud Awareness Week, or in short, FAW, in conjunction with the International FAW of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. Throughout the years, Kenanga remained committed to this global anti-fraud effort to promote anti-fraud awareness and to educate the public on the various aspects of fraud. This year, the chosen theme for Kenanga's 7th FAW, Embracing Disruption, Pioneering Change, Unwavering Integrity, does not only capture Kenanga's readiness to adapt to the ever-evolving business landscape, but emphasizes our undeterred dedication to comply with laws and regulations. It is also with this determination that Kenanga continuously ensures to uphold our business practices in accordance with ethical and moral values. Ladies and gentlemen, the core of Kenanga's FAW revolves around creating awareness and facilitating understanding on the latest fraud trends and techniques, particularly as these are constantly changing, becoming more and more sophisticated. With this objective in mind, Kenanga has organized various activities for the FAW, including educational games, discussions, training sessions, and seminars, all serve to strengthen the anti-fraud message and ultimately keep us continuously aware of the threat of fraud. Kenanga's 7th FAW has in fact started much earlier, about 1 month ago, with our flagship program, the FAW Games Champions League. Tomorrow promises to be another exciting day as we will witness the finals of our FAW Games Champions League between our very own team from Group Digital Technology and Transformation and the team from Petronas. They will battle it out to determine who will be crowned the winner and earn the GMD trophy. On behalf of Kenanga, to the participating teams and their organizations, we can't thank you enough for all the support you have rendered us. It is our hope that this would pave the way to foster greater connections and collaborations towards emphasizing the significance of fraud prevention and detection. Ladies and gentlemen, without any more delay, let us commence our event today. It is an honor and a privilege to introduce our distinguished guests for the welcome address. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Yang Amat Mulia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Syed Anwar Ibni Jamalulail, the esteemed Chairman of Kenanga Investment Bank Berhad.
Thank you to Isabel for the kind introduction. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And a very good morning to all. Yang Mulia Tan Sri Datuk Paduka Tengku Nur Zakia Tengku Ismail, the Founder Emeritus and Advisor of Kenanga Investment Bank Berhad, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Panglima Haji Azam bin Baki, the Chief Commissioner of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, Yang Berbahagia Mr. John Gill, the President of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Che Wai Leong, the Group Managing Director of Kenanga Investment Bank Berhad, members of the Board of Directors and senior management, as well as the Team Kenanga Group. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have our friends from the regulators, enforcement bodies, as well as industry experts with us today. I extend my warmest welcome to all of you, whether you are seasoned professionals or newcomers eager to learn about combating fraud. We are gathered here in support of International Fraud Awareness Week, an event dedicated for a single purpose of fraud detection and prevention across the globe. At Kenanga, we feel privileged to have this opportunity of being part of the international corporate community in the fight against fraud. Your participation serves as a testament of the commitment to these ideals, where we can share knowledge, experiences, and insights that will empower us to stay one step ahead of those who would seek to defraud. It is also my hope that this will create the opportunity for collaboration, networking, and forging partnerships that will strengthen our collective ability to combat fraud effectively. Honored guests, fraud has escalated as digital adoption increased. Many organizations have reported being overwhelmed by the sheer volume of fraud attempts. As more individuals use digital transactions, new chances for fraudsters emerge, increasing the danger of digital fraud. Fraudsters have used technology to increase the complexity and breadth of their operations. By manipulating the advancements in technology, fraudsters can now conduct schemes that transcend borders with astonishing ease and continually modify their strategy to identify new loopholes. According to Bank Negara Malaysia, since its launch in October 2022, the National Scam Response Center has received reports of more than 15,000 scam cases with losses amounting to ringgit Malaysia 141 million. In addition, PDRM has also informed that in the past 2 years, nearly 72,000 scam cases were reported with losses exceeding ringgit Malaysia 5 billion. In this regard, it is crucial for businesses to ensure safety and security of their digital platform to gain confidence of the public. Businesses should adopt prudent and safe management systems for their platform, as this would help to build public trust, which will in turn promote for a wider acceptance by the public of the digital platforms. Organizations must also put in place an effective fraud risk management as part of their internal controls. This is important to safeguard clients' interests while continue meeting the clients' increasing expectations for digital experiences and simultaneously promote growth of the organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, fraud is also hurting clients' trust and willingness to use services. Fraudsters would use people's fear and worry, leading them to make bad judgments and send over security data to harmful actors. In most cases, these events not only prevent clients from running their transactions, but also raise stress levels. Although businesses are expected to update and upgrade their security measures, this is simply not enough to prevent all financial fraud. There is also a paramount need to educate public on new and emerging threats of fraud. Reminders and greater awareness will not only reinforce the need for constant vigilance from all parties, but also create an environment where everyone is risk-conscious and responsible in protecting the interests of each other. For this reason, Kenanga is proud to be a part of the international corporate community in fighting fraud and taking proactive actions to promote anti-fraud awareness and education. With all the objectives in mind, Kenanga has again organized its Fraud Awareness Week, And the theme chosen this year is embracing disruption, pioneering change, unwavering integrity. It is our hope that this will serve to instill more awareness in all of us to protect ourselves against fraud, whether individually or professionally. But beyond that, it is the interactions between us that truly make this fraud-fighting effort a special one. I encourage you to connect with your fellow attendees, share your experiences, and engage in meaningful conversations. It is these exchanges that often lead to innovative solutions and strategies that can revolutionize the way we approach anti-fraud efforts. In this regard, I'm also pleased to announce that we have received a tremendous response for the Anti-Fraud Games, which is the flagship program of Kenanga's Fraud Awareness Week. The number of participants that have registered for this year has increased to 219 teams from 188 teams in 2022, and this includes 7 international teams from the organizations in Singapore, Indonesia, South Africa, and Dubai. Once again, on behalf of Kenanga, our heartfelt appreciation to all of you for supporting all our efforts and for making the launch of the 7th edition of the Fraud Awareness Week today a truly memorable one. Your participation would not only create a greater network towards raising the awareness on fraud, but would also establish collective effort towards the common fight against fraud. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Tan Sri. I sincerely share the belief in the power of collective efforts. As the saying goes, no man is an island. Women too. And it's through our combined commitments that we can take proactive steps in the ongoing battle against fraud. Let us all pledge to continue spreading awareness about anti-fraud measures to everyone in our sphere of influence. Together, we can amplify the message on fraud prevention and detection. And now, it is time to move on into the next intriguing chapter of today's event. We are truly honored to have with us a distinguished figure in the global anti-fraud movement. Yang berbahagia, Mr. John D. Gill, the President of Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. He'll be gracing us with a special address for this virtual opening ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. John Gill as he takes the virtual stage.
I'm John Gill. I'm president of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. The ACFE is the world's largest organization devoted entirely to fraud prevention and detection. And so it's an honor to be asked to address Kenanga and its employees during your Fraud Awareness Program initiative. Quick story. My parents grew up without a lot of advantages. They grew up in a small town in southern Arkansas, which is one of the poorest states in the United States. It's in the southern part of the U.S. They couldn't afford to go to college or university. So when they graduated from high school, they took a job with the largest employer in that area, which was a paper mill. They worked at that paper mill for over 40 years before they retired. To me, they were a wonderful example of how you're supposed to do things. You get a job, you work hard at it, and you earn the money that you make. And I think that's why fraud has always made me so angry. It's like someone is trying to skip the line. They're trying to get the rewards without doing the work. So I've been with the ACFE for 28 years. And that desire and that anger at people trying to skip the line has not gone away. But one of the things that has struck me working at the ACFE all of these years is the fact that we are really unlike almost every other professional organization. Because if you look at most professional associations, they're organized around a single profession. For example, you have groups of accountants. They're all accountants. You have groups of internal auditors. They're all internal auditors. You have computer security professionals. I'm an attorney. I'm a member of groups with lawyers, doctors, dentists. Everybody has their own group, but they're usually united by this single idea that they are this particular profession. But the ACFE is composed of lots of different professionals. We have internal auditors, we have accountants, we have law enforcement, we have attorneys, we have computer security people, we have people all over the place. And we are in lots of different industries. We're in every industry. We have CFEs and associate members in every industry that you can imagine. We have financial services. We have airlines. We have manufacturing. We have universities. We have colleges. We have everything you can possibly imagine. Government agencies. We're all over the world. Much more than 100 countries. I lost count of what the number is. So if you have all of these people from all over the world in all these different professions, what is it that brings them together as part of the ACFE? What's our uniting factor? Well, that's the reason that you're watching the video. That's why you're sitting through these fraud awareness programs. We're united by a single idea, and that is it makes us angry when people try to skip the line. And they try and get the rewards without doing the hard work that they're supposed to get them. So they're making money at the expense of us, of the hardworking people that have devoted their time and effort and energy to this organization, to Kenanga. And it hopefully makes you mad too, to think about somebody, whether it's inside the company or outside the company, coming in and ripping you off, as the expression goes, stealing that money because it doesn't belong to them. They're not doing it the right way. I think it taps into something deep within us, that sense of fairness. Why should they be able to get these rewards without having to work from them? Or having to work for them? We come in every day. We work hard, and how dare someone try and steal from us? That should make us mad. And so I want to thank Mahesh for organizing everything and bringing this to the forefront. And thanks to Kenanga, because you would think every organization wants to have fraud awareness programs and put this out in front of the employees. A lot of companies don't. I'm constantly shocked at how many companies think, well, if we just ignore the problem or pretend it doesn't exist, then it doesn't exist. We don't have any fraud. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. You all are doing something so extremely important. You're thinking about fraud. You're being taught that it is important to look for, and you're doing this the right way. There are a lot of fraud prevention activities that they have for you during these programs, and I hope you'll take advantage of these, and I hope you'll take it very seriously, because you are making a difference. Fighting fraud is everyone's responsibility. And thank you for rising to the challenge. I'm proud of you, and I hope you have a great event. Thank you for allowing me to participate, and I hope to be able to address you next year. Thanks for your hard work.
Thank you, Mr. John Gill, for your insightful speech. It is clear that fraud can cause devastating consequences on its victims. It not only magnifies the disadvantages, vulnerabilities, and inequalities experienced by the public, but can also result in significant adverse economic impacts for businesses. And as Mr. John Gill has astutely pointed out, each of us here today, representing diverse fields and industries, should stand united and committed to combat fraud. We should all work towards a more secure and equitable future for all. Ladies and gentlemen, as businesses increasingly embrace digitalization and automation, and with more people conducting their transactions online, there is a noticeable trend of increased fraud, corruption, and other corporate crimes. This shift to the digital realm presents both opportunities and challenges, and it is crucial that we address these issues proactively and adapt to the evolving landscape. In this regard, regulators and enforcement agencies around the world are growing increasingly concerned about this alarming trend. Despite the implementation and strengthening of laws and regulations to address these issues, it is disheartening to see that perpetrators of fraud and corruption and corporate crimes persist in their illegal activities. This underscores the complexity of the challenge and the need for continued vigilance and innovation in our approach to combating such illicit actions. In light of this pressing issue, we are indeed fortunate to have a distinguished guest with us today. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Panglima Haji Azam bin Baki, the Chief Commissioner of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission. Tan Sri will be sharing his invaluable insights on this matter through his keynote address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh, and very good morning to all of you. Yang Mulia Tan Sri Datuk Paduka Tengku Nur Zakiah Tengku Ismail, the founder, emeritus and advisor of Kenanga Investment Bank Berhad. Yang Amat Mulia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Said Zainul Anwar Ibni Said Putra Jamalul Lail, the chairman of Kenanga Investment Bank Berhad. Yang berbahagia Mr. John Gill, the president of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. Yang berbahagia Datuk Che Wai Leong, the Group Managing Director of Kenanga Investment Bank Berhad, members of the Board of Directors and senior management, as well as all employees of Kenanga Group. Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I would like to express my appreciation to Kenanga Investment Bank Berhad for extending the invitation to me to deliver the keynote address for Kenanga's Fraud Awareness Week, FAW. As you all are aware, Kenanga FAW is held in conjunction with the International FAW, a week-long program by ACFE, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners based in Austin, Texas. This marks the 7 consecutive years that Kenanga has organized the FAW, and I am pleased that Kenanga remains committed to reaching even greater heights in ensuring that FAW activities align with the objective of inculcating integrity and enhancing fraud awareness. I have been informed that this week's agenda comprises a range of activities including awareness and educational programs in the form of interactive sessions involving both internal staff and external stakeholders, all aimed at promoting fraud prevention and detection. I commend Kenanga for these outstanding initiatives. It is my hope that Kenanga's FAW would serve as a platform where stakeholders come together, share insights, and collectively identify effective solutions to prevent fraud and corruption. This is also in line with the MACC's goals of optimizing collaborative efforts of all organizations to exchange information, best practices and experiences aimed at enhancing governance. In Malaysia, cybersecurity has emerged as a paramount concern, particularly in light of significant surge in reported online crimes. Cyberbullying, falsification, hacking, phishing, and email scams are adversely impacting individuals from all walks of life and spanning various sectors and industries. Disturbingly, these cases continue to witness increases. According to the Cybersecurity Malaysia, the country recorded 4,741 cyber threats in 2022, and by February 2023, there were already 456 reported fraud cases. In this matter, financial institutions are constantly exposed to fraud, scams, and money laundering as a safe haven to conceal, transact, and convert the illegal proceeds. Criminals, on the other hand, are creative in finding loopholes to bypass customer due diligence, measures that we have put in place, and exploiting various financial instruments to conduct illegal activities through trade, financial facilities, insurance, wire transfer, and corrupt practice. With the latest development in technology and information system today, the modus operandi of the perpetrators continue to evolve, becoming more and more complex. The fraudulent acts are concealed through various layering of records and documentation, and the conversion of ill-gotten proceeds are done through new medium such as virtual assets, underground traders, cross-border financial institutions, as well as offshore financial services. This complexity not only makes tracking these activities more challenging, but also compounds the difficulty of detection in our interconnected, shrinking world. Ladies and gentlemen, in the fight against fraudsters, financial institutions' role as quote-unquote frontliners are paramount because financial frauds, kickbacks from corrupt activities, and money laundering are operated from within financial institutions. Transactions, especially those involve high-risk customers, should be scrutinized in terms of sources of the fund and where the money goes. The MACC, as an enforcement body empowered by the Act of MACC Act 2009, we have our own approach in detecting and investigating corruption. However, we need the continuous collaboration with regulators, financial institutions such as investment bank, and other enforcement agencies. The cooperation can be in form of knowledge and information sharing, as well as proactive reports on suspicious financial activities that are crucial in the process of investigation as red flags for possible commission of the offences. Furthermore, as Malaysia continually evolves into a nation propelled by the digital economy, the management of fraud risk should be firmly integrated as a critical component of an organization's internal controls. No financial product and services that incorporate technological advancement and innovation in fintech must undergo rigorous testing to identify vulnerabilities that could be exploited before they are introduced to the public. Honored guests, in conclusion, we must all make an effort to educate ourselves about matters concerning fraud and corruption. It is crucial to remain vigilant and take proactive steps to discourage instances of fraud and corruption. We should also be courageous and resolute in speaking out against such acts and reporting them rather than turning a blind eye. In this regard, efforts like Kenanga's FAW are instrumental in working toward this goal. Collaborative engagement of all organizations can magnify the endeavors dedicated to the prevention and detection of fraud. This initiative can effectively convey the message to a broader and more diverse public audience. Given this consideration, Kenanga's chosen theme for this year's FAW, Embracing Disruption, Pioneering Change, Unwavering Integrity, underscores their dedication to perpetually uphold business and practices in accordance with ethical and moral values. This message emphasizes on the need to not only embrace changes, particularly in today's technological advancement, but to also be wary and be prepared on the potential dangers that may come with the changes. Lastly, I would like to encourage each one of you to emphasize and discuss the ways in which we should strive to effect positive change within your respective organization. It is vital that we unite and collaborate to combat fraud and corruption in all aspects of our lives. Together, we can make a significant impact and contribute to more ethical and accountable society. I extend my best wishes to Kenanga for successful FAW in the days to come. May all of you derive great value from the planned events throughout this week. With that, I officially declare the 7 Kenanga's Fraud Awareness Week open. Let us embrace the opportunities ahead and may this time together be both productive and fulfilling. Thank you.
Participants don't necessarily need to have regulatory, compliance, or legal backgrounds. Whether in IT, finance, HR, or operations, you can win the game too if you put in effort to learn and understand the concepts and have fun doing it.
The Fraud Awareness Week Games have been a fun and interactive way to learn about fraud detection and prevention.
It is a great initiative by Kenanga, and we are grateful for the opportunity to be able to sharpen our skills on fraud.
We love the game because it's fun, challenging, and mind-blowing.
We just want to say that we love FAW and committed to participate every year. Don't
forget to invite us every year.
I'm Chicken.
We are from Kenanga's IT department, the Group Digital and Technology and Transformation, or better known as GDTD.
Welcome to Fraud Awareness Week 2023. This annual event brings education and awareness to individuals and organizations about the importance of fraud prevention and detection.
We will bring the trophy back to Kenanga this year. This is the hope and dreams of everyone in Kenanga. We also hope more people will participate in the FAW Games in future. More participation will certainly result in greater awareness.
My name is Gan.
Hi, my name is Imran.
And we are from
Team Mamba of Petronas.
First and foremost, we would like to thank Kenanga and congratulate them for organizing the Fraud Awareness Week, the 7th Fraud Awareness Week, and also the FAW game.
I think this time they have gone international as well. There were participants from UAE, Singapore, and Indonesia, and not forgetting Malaysians as well. So, but also our congratulations to all the participants that participated. That's about it, and we look forward for the finals, and we'll see you Kenanga on the battle day, and get ready with the trophy because we are bringing it back home.
And that marks the official launch of Kenanga's 7th FAW 2023. Thank you to each and every one of you. What an incredible journey it has been. Your unwavering support and active participation in the fight against fraud has made this event truly exceptional. We deeply appreciate your dedication to promoting anti-fraud awareness throughout the years. Together, we can make a real difference in creating a more secure and transparent future. Ladies and gentlemen, in our previous FAW events, we have had the privilege of hearing from individuals who played pivotal roles in exposing major financial scandals, such as the Wirecard case. This year, Kenanga is proud to bring you another interesting segment to the FAW, a conversation with a convicted fraudster. This segment promises to be an eye-opening discussion that sheds light on the mindset of those involved in fraudulent activities. Billy McFarland and the Fire Festival became internationally known through the Netflix documentary Fire, the greatest party that never happened. Advertised by famous faces including Kendall Jenner, Bella Hadid, and Hailey Baldwin, the festival was billed as a glamorous party with tickets costing up to $100,000. Guests who booked were promised luxury accommodation and the best in food, art, music, and adventure in the Bahamas. Instead, they turned up to mattresses on rain-soaked floors, meals of cheese slices on bread, and their luggages were thrown into an unlit car park. Billy pleaded guilty for his involvement in the fraud and was sentenced to 6 years in prison and was ordered to forfeit more than $26 million to cover investors' losses. For today's event, Kenanga's Group Chief Regulatory and Compliance Officer, Maheswari Kanya, has the opportunity to engage in a frank conversation with Billy himself. I'm sure all of you are already intrigued to learn more about the Fire Festival case and the insights shared during the conversation between Billy and Mahes. Before I invite you to join us and listen in on this fascinating conversation, let's watch a clip from the Hulu documentary on fire fraud.
About to go to Fire Festival.
Could be amazing, could be a disaster.
Fire Festival was supposed to be the new Coachella, the new Burning Man.
Exclusivity with access to premier talent.
It was going to be an experience bordering on impossible. What's the worst thing that could possibly happen?
Oh God. Oh, Jesus.
Nightmare in Paradise.
There was no music.
They were put into disaster relief tents.
People started to have breakdowns, people started to have panic attacks. No idea what they were doing.
It was also a health concern that there were people literally trapped on an island.
It was a shit show.
Just chaos and anarchy.
It's a great time to be a con man in America.
Whatever it takes, we are all in, and let's go and make this happen.
William McFarland created Fire Festival with rapper Ja Rule.
You're sitting there saying, like, I have no idea what this guy does, but I'm pretty certain that it's not legitimate.
Billy understood what millennials as a generation want.
What Fire Festival did prove is that power of influence is real.
These guys figured out a way to optimize social media, almost weaponize it. And that's really when it turned to something that became like a significant financial crime.
There are people who help Billy commit fraud so that they can make their money.
Somebody would post a question, the question would immediately get deleted.
People would message me things like, I sold like everything I own just to go to this fantasy island festival.
There were never thousands of acts booked, and there were never millions of dollars paid.
He's engaging in criminal acts and wire fraud.
Billy, should we have any concern about the FBI?
I'm not sure.
Someone has got to stand up and say, this isn't real.
Some people have called you a sociopath. How do you respond to that?
Over to you, Billy and Mahez.
Thank you, Isabel. Hello, everyone. Like Isabel has mentioned, we have with us today in person Billy McFarlane, who is here to talk to us about the infamous Fire Festival, what actually happened, his time behind bars, how he plans to pay back the millions he still owes, and why is he embarking on Fire Festival 2. Good morning and welcome, Billy. How are you?
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Hopefully I'll be allowed to travel to Malaysia soon, but in the meantime, it's great to be here.
Yeah, okay. Happy to have you with us today. I'm sure that the viewers would like to hear directly from you. So let's get straight to my first question, okay? Well, Fire Festival was going to be a huge music festival with big stars. So I believe that it would be good if you can actually provide, from your perspective, a brief overview of the Fire Festival and probably your role in its planning and execution.
Yes, so I started my first technology company when I was 13, and I kept finding myself in these different industries, in different rooms that my ability as a young programmer would take me to. And I found there was a lot of value happening when I would bring together people from different industries. And Fire was the result of this 10-year journey of connecting people from different worlds and just wanting to do it on a really large scale in my favorite place in the world and to show it with a lot of people. I made so many mistakes along the way that we will get into today, but it all started with my dream of bringing different people together and then sharing that experience with as many people as possible.
I see. You started really very, very young. At a very young age, you already had all these thoughts on how you want to, build your platform and, the whole works. So maybe you can tell us what was the initial vision of Fire Festival and how did it actually differ from, what the attendees experienced?
Sure. So prior to Fire, I had a company called Magnesis, and we were attempting to build a benefits platform for credit cards that was targeted towards younger professionals in major US cities. And as one of the benefits for these cardholders, we would take them on small trips where we would take the technology entrepreneur, the finance professional, the fashion designer, people who are used to working very long days in their own industries. We would take them outside of New York City or outside of London and bring them on these small Caribbean vacations where they would spend time with people that they don't ordinarily get to spend time with during their professional days. And during these trips, the relationships that formed were so powerful, and the trip started growing at a really wild rate. And it was during one of these trips, I had one of our attendees say, you should totally do a music festival here to basically show off to more people the magic that we thought we had discovered.
I see. Okay, so it came from an inspiration of someone asking you, to bundle all these things together so that, you can actually have an incredible experience altogether, right?
We just really found how interesting it was when people spent time in a remote, adventurous area with people who were different from them. There was so much value to be gained there. And on some of these smaller trips, we were bringing larger music artists and larger entertainers. And that kind of helped foster this idea of what if we could have 30 music artists, and instead of just 20 people on this trip, what if we could have thousands of people? And sort of in a naive way, the Fire Festival was my dream of how can I share what's happening with all of my friends, because no one would believe the relationships and the journey that were going on in these small trips. So Fire was that desire to share this journey with thousands of people.
I see. Yesterday I was talking to my children, just to sidetrack a bit. And, they always go to this Tomorrowland festival.
Yes, very successful festival.
They have been going like 10 years, so they were pretty excited when I told them I'm going to interview you. So what's the difference between the Tomorrowland festival and the Fire Festival that you organize?
So really interesting story. A new investor of mine was doing due diligence recently, and he called one of the entertainers who came on one of these pre-Fire Festival trips to basically see how it was. And the entertainer was giving good feedback, but she said, I knew the Fire Festival was going to fail when Billy told me he'd only been to one music festival in his entire life before trying to do his own festival. So Fire for me was never trying to be this massive music concert. It was more about a vacation with interesting people. And as a way to make that vacation more interesting, let's have great music artists performing as a backdrop for this networking vacation trip.
I see. Okay. So this is the part where I'm going to ask you some uncomfortable questions, but I'm sure you're ready for that. So after the Fire Festival, you actually were convicted of multiple counts of fraud, yeah? Now, can you actually share with us your perspective on the legal consequences that you face, and what are the lessons that you learned from your experience?
I was in this state where I viewed the outcome as the most important part of the process. And in my mind, had the festival worked, the investors would have made money, the attendees would have had 3 days that they remembered forever, my team members or employees would have had a great job, and I wrongly devalued the moral path that it would take to get there. And I said that no matter what it would take, we're going to make this happen. And that was incredibly childish, incredibly immature, and just like not the right way to live life or run a business. So I kind of lost a moral compass. I certainly lied to investors for the month before Fire and the Fire Festival. And it was all due to this insecurity and desire to make Fire happen at all costs, and not appreciating the longer journey of building trust and really just like fostering a good community and being a good partner along the way.
So it actually started as a vision, an incredible vision that you actually wanted, people to experience, but unfortunately along the way there were a lot of hiccups and all that, and finally this whole thing was gone like array from what you actually planned, right? So actually when I did some researching on the net, I realized that there actually were several different narratives of how people actually see you, be it a villain or an entrepreneur, who got things wrong. With so many differing opinions existing on the net, how do you actually see yourself?
That's a really good question. And I just did an interview for a TV show a couple of days ago that hasn't aired yet. And they said, is there any word that makes you angry or makes you sad? And I said, the only word that bothers me right now is the word scammer. Everything else, like, it's totally okay with me. Like, yes, I lied. Like, yes, I was a jerk for this period. Like, I agree with all of that. But in my mind, we all worked so hard to try to make this happen. And it was my period of lies that broke the trust, derailed the business, and led to a lot of consequences, which were terrible. So for me, it's really hard. And I think the best way to kind of handle these conflicting narratives is to remind myself that I do have a lot of time. And I wish I knew that 7 years ago when I was planning the first Fire Festival, that at 24, my life would not be defined by Fire Festival 1. So I hope now that I have the time to not only make things right for the people who were involved in the first one, but also just make a positive impact and deliver on my initial dream.
Yeah, because you were only 24 then, so after all that experience, I'm sure the maturity level would be different, the way you look at things, your perspective and all that. So anyway, sorry, Billy, I must ask you this. I'm sure you are aware that lots of people look at you as an ultimate con man. I don't want to use the word, but this is what is coming out. Yeah? So how do you consider yourself to be? Because you never intended to defraud in the first place, right? It was an incredible dream that you wanted to give everybody. So after all this came out, and they use words like con man and all that. So what do you consider yourself to be actually?
It's been a really interesting journey for me. The documentaries came out while I was in the beginning of my prison sentence. So in a weird way, I was sheltered from a lot of the media and a lot of the public backlash for a number of years. So I think at this point, it essentially reflects off of me, and it's kind of turned to motivation. But I went through a couple of years of just like pure repentance, where it's like, wow, I really hurt people by violating their trust and taking their time. And like, that was hard to come to terms with. But after a number of years, it's really changed to motivation, where it's like, hey, I believe that I can make it up to these people. And that's what keeps me going. And like, my dream one day is to go back to everybody that was wrong from the first Fire Festival and shake their hands and say, like, we made this right in some capacity.
Yeah, I'm sure that that would be. I mean, moving forward, that would be the way that you should approach things and all that. Okay, on the Fire Festival, some argue that the Fire Festival, actually, the first one, reflected the broader issue of influencer culture, okay, and the impact on social media hype, because there was a lot of social media that that you all have embarked on, and probably you wanted to brand the Fire Festival, so there was a lot of hype on it. So what's your take on this, and do you believe that there's responsibility of influencers in such promotional campaigns? Because we also, as bankers, we also have influencers trying to but we are all regulated, but unfortunately your industry is not regulated. So
Yes.
yeah, so how do you see all this?
I think the one emotion that we tapped into, and I didn't realize this at the time, was this concept of entitlement, where social media has allowed the average person to have an inside view of the life of a select few. You can take the biggest stars in the world, and social media allows all of us to kind of live that life. And I think that's bred, particularly in like the millennial and Generation Z, this sense of entitlement where they see something on social media, and if this star has it, then I deserve it too. And I think in some kind of weird way, Fire presented that vehicle for the public to have it too, because they saw the stars posting about it, and now by buying a ticket, they could have the life that they believe they deserved. I didn't really know that we were doing that at the time, but I think this social media has fueled this entitlement wave, and Fire Festival capitalized wrongly on that, and certainly the lack of regulation made that possible.
Yeah, because social media is something that you can't control. It just spirals out of control, kind of thing. And then you find that everybody is coming in to give their comments, good or bad. And actually it also helps in your branding, kind of thing. So yeah, probably it needs to be regulated, but I don't foresee it coming any soon for your industry. Like for our industry, it's already there, the regulators are already on it. But for your music festival and music industry, I suppose it's not going to happen anytime soon. Okay, so many attendees who actually attended faced significant hardships during the festival. We were watching the Netflix and the Hulu videos, okay, the documentary, sorry. So some have actually accused you of knowingly deceiving both investors and the attendees. So how do you respond to the allegations of fraud and false advertising?
Sure. So the investors were totally wronged, and I lied to the investors to help raise money for the festival. And that was, in my mind, it's very, very black and white. On the festival side, up until the first 1,000 attendees arrived, I truly believed, and I believe the team believed, that we were going to make this happen. And looking back, there were a number of points where I should have realized that we were pushing too far and it wasn't practical. But the mindset was, this is going to work and nothing is going to stop us until we make this happen.
Yeah, because, when I watched your documentary, there were actually many times your employees were actually telling you literally, of the disaster to come, but you actually didn't take heed of that advice, and you didn't actually pull the plug, okay, before the public, actually arrived on the island. So what was your thought process at that time? What were the key factors or decisions, that actually led the festival's, ultimate failure and cancellation? Because right to the end, like you said, you believed it was going to happen.
So I think it's two conflicting skill sets. One was a really bad ability to zoom out and see the bigger picture, and the second part was really good at solving short-term emergencies and using those to kind of build hype. We were essentially climbing a giant mountain, and we would like reach a boulder that seemed impossible to scale, and we would scale it and we get all excited, but I didn't know how to zoom out and realize there's a whole mountain left ahead of us. So it almost took getting lucky 30 or 40 times along the way to allow the larger failure to be as large as it was. And during that whole process of small miracles, it was my inability to zoom out and realize that no matter how many small miracles we pull off, we're not going to be prepared at the level that we need to be to host thousands of people on this island.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting documentary. Okay, anyway, the Fire Festival, it actually had a significant impact on the people involved. I'm sure you agree with me, yeah? From the attendees to local workers and, businesses. So how do you plan to address the harm that, caused to these individuals and, of course, the Bahamian community as well?
It's really, really hard. And no matter what I do, a large percentage of that goes back to everybody that's owed. And whether that's an investor, someone who came to the festival, or someone who worked there, I've spent the first 14 months since I got out of prison starting to make those payments. It's also just hard to get a handle on the mess of all of it. I went to jail shortly after, and I was kind of like left unable to really assess the damage. So I feel like we're finally in a position now where we understand who's owed and are beginning to set a plan to actually pay them back through our next ventures. So hopefully in 5 or 7 years we can come back here and talk about how we did it. But I feel like there finally is a tangible roadmap, and it's going to take a while, and it's not going to be easy, but there is a tangible roadmap to get everybody involved paid back in the capacity they're owed.
I mean, to think about it, no matter how much money you pay back at the end of the day, yeah. I guess the people will still not forgive you, those who were, really hurt. Anyway, in hindsight, what do you believe were the most significant lessons that you personally learned from the Fire Festival experience, as well as being in prison? What was the experience like?
I really think that I made a lot of mistakes thinking it was all about the money, thinking, oh, I have to lie to the investors to make this work because they want to make money, and a successful festival is the only way to make money. And as I kind of look back now, and as I'm starting to repay people on a really small scale, I think the money is far less important than the trust. And it's the people who work with me for 5, 6, 7 years before Fire who now feel like they wasted that time and they were misled for such a long period because of the mistakes I made at the end. So rebuilding trust to me is actually more important than the money. And when I was sitting in jail with literally nothing, the thoughts weren't about the days where I had the most money or my business was having the biggest revenue. It was about the 4 or 5 or 6 friends who I missed and wanted to be around. And I think like as a human, my goal right now is if I could be the first phone call of 5 or 6 people when they actually need something or need help, that is a way more fulfilling feeling than, being on top of the world in terms of having a lot of revenue in my business. So more of the personal journey and allow the business to kind of grow as the personal journey grows first.
Okay. And I saw one of your interviews, and you highlighted about the food that you had there, which was similar to the festival.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny to me because you related back to the mistake you made, and you were actually paying it back in prison itself because you were served back your own medicine kind of thing. Okay.
Yes, yeah. I was served the cheese sandwich in jail, which is
cheese sandwich.
It's ironic and deserving.
Yeah. Okay. So the Fire Festival has actually become a symbol of the consequences of fraudulent schemes and all that. So what message would you like to convey to those who are really affected by the festival, be it your friends, your employees, or the public in general?
The most important thing for me right now is to rebuild your trust. And I understand that people are lost in various capacities. But to me, I think the worst crime I committed was taking advantage of the trust of friends, employees, investors, family, and friends. And that's my life goal, is to pay back that trust. And when you need help one day, I want to be the person who's there for you.
Yeah, to rebuild trust again is not easy. You can do 100 good things, but that one bad thing that you do, is going to stick in people's mind, right through their lives.
Yeah.
Okay, I will move on to Fire Festival 2.
Okay.
Is that okay? So I think the biggest story is your comeback with Fire Festival 2, right? Which is expected to be sometime in December at the Caribbean, right?
Yeah, end of next year, yes.
Yeah, because you made that announcement. So I read that the first 100 pre-sale tickets priced at what, US $100 were actually sold out.
500, yeah.
500, sorry,
Yeah.
were actually sold out on the first day itself.
Yes.
What makes you actually think that you can, pull it off this time, And why should people trust you after the actual Fire Festival, actually was a disaster, the first one, I mean. So I'm trying to figure out, what made you go back to do another Fire Festival?
So when I really had 4 years to think about it, I came away with two dreams. One is paying everybody back, and that's trust, that's friendship, that's of course money. And two is I wanted to execute and show people what the initial dream of Fire really was. And after I was released, it took some time, but finally sat down with some partners and just went over the numbers. And since 2016, Fire is the most talked about music festival brand in the world. And we did an exercise saying, if we started a new festival tomorrow, what would it take to have the same brand awareness? And the answer was an absurd amount of money, years in jail, many documentaries. And at the end of the day, it's like nearly impossible to replicate that brand awareness. So with the right help in place, it's a great avenue to, one, pay back those who are owed, and two, actually make the initial dream of Fire happen. So Fire Festival 2 is going to be a couple of things. It'll be a normal festival as initially envisioned. It's also going to be a Broadway musical, and we're going to have some TV shows along the way. So finding ways to take the theme of the brand and to share that with a lot of people.
Okay, was it also because that, you had that 26 million restitution to pay, right? So
Yes.
all this is going to come to place, and you are going to make sure that, all those things that you need to pay back, you're going to pay back, right?
Yes. So a portion of the proceeds of all of this, whether it's a TV show, a Fire Festival, that all goes back to people who are owed. And that is the most important thing. And every month I make a payment. So no matter how small or large your earnings are, we've started and it'll only ramp up from here.
Yeah. But I'm curious, why do you name it Fire Festival 2? I mean, don't you think that the branding, could be affected due to the failure of the first Fire Festival?
I think what's really interesting is if 70 or 80% of the consumers out there don't like it, it empowers the 20 or 30% who actually follow the brand and makes them more ardent supporters, where they are proud to be a Fire supporter and they're proud to be a Fire attendee. So I think my job is two things. One is to get the proper help. So have a great logistics company manage the actual festival. But two is almost to lean into this storm that we've created and allow most people to think it's silly, because that will empower our consumers to actually be prouder to be Fire Festival supporters.
Yeah, I suppose so. So, given the legal and the ethical challenges, surrounding your past ventures, how do you actually plan to ensure that Fire Festival 2 is organized within the bounds of the law and, adheres to all the ethical standards?
The biggest takeaway that I had is, instead of trying to fix what I am bad at, just get help. And I can't do it all by myself. And let me focus on what I'm good at, and every single thing else will have the best partners in the world come help us actually do it. And it just can't be all me. So I can do the marketing, I can add the Fire community and the adventure aspect to it. But whatever the project is beneath Fire, it needs to have the proper team and management behind it. And yeah, so it's getting the proper team and help to make this a reality.
Yeah, I suppose infrastructure planning, infrastructure and all is so huge, for a Fire Festival like what you're doing. And then including all the logistics, accommodation, the festival operations and all that. So I suppose if you outsource it to somebody else and you just concentrate on your strengths, probably things will work out better.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. So, considering your new venture, okay, on Fire Festival 2, how do you plan to ensure, transparency and credibility this time? And, what steps have you taken to regain the public trust?
It's really hard. I think one of the biggest challenges we're up against is there's always someone who we don't know behind the scenes who makes things harder, right? Like we have good partners, we have good deals, and then there's someone out there who's like, you know what, like this is a little risky for us. So I think my job is one, taking our time, and two, is just getting the proper help, and whether that's passing the finances off. So I'm not the one handling the ticket money, as simple as that may sound, to finding somebody else who's, in charge of the accounting and the budgets and the forecasting. And really it's like understanding what I am not good at and just making sure that I'm not the one handling those areas.
Okay. Okay. Lastly, Billy, before we actually let you go, I'm sure that, at the back of your mind, you may be thinking about those people whom you still owe money, right? What would you like to say to them if given the opportunity?
That I am going to work as hard as I possibly can until you are repaid. And I wish I could promise a date or a deadline, but I'm not going to do that again. So it might take 5 years, it might take 10 years. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I am being as creative as possible. I'm getting the best possible partners, and we will take every step we can to make this happen.
Yeah, I suppose, with the background of Fire Festival, there behind you, well, I think that, you have learned all your lessons, and this time around your Fire Festival 2, I'm sure you would have put in whatever you need at whichever area there's you feel there's lacking and all that, and make sure that that everything goes well for you this time around, because there's a lot of thing hanging there. You're only 31 years old, you're so young, you still got many years to go, and many fire festivals to come in the future. So any last words, Billy, before we end?
Yeah, I think my biggest lesson is the journey is just so important, and there's a lot of cliches about how the journey is more important than the outcome. But I think to find fulfillment in life, it's the people that we go on the journey with and the relationships we form along the way. And whether or not we achieve financial success, the depth of those close relationships we have are the most valuable asset in life. And when you have nothing, it's those relationships you crave more than any other tangible or material goods. So yeah, I understand that you guys are a great company and the audience here is all professional. At the end of the day, those relationships are just as important as your career success. And it's something I wish I appreciated more when I was caught up in the storm of trying to make the business work.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Billy. Thank you for taking time to talk to us. We wish you all the best for Fire Festival 2, and we will be looking forward to hearing out more successful stories from your side, because you're hosting such an incredible show. And of course, I hope that, the customer experience this time would be really mind-blowing and all that. And of course, and also, for the future, hopefully you would come up with more fire festivals or other programs. And you're also doing a lot of, for Fire Festival 2, you're also, collaborating with others, other companies and all that. So hope everything goes in your way and you have success. And wish you all the best. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And hope to see some of you guys at Fire 2 at the end of next year. So,
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for the insightful session, Billy and Mahes. We applaud Billy for his openness in sharing his accounts of the Fire Festival and the circumstances surrounding it. Indeed, it takes exceptional courage to come forward and admit wrongdoing. Such discussions can really help shed the light on the importance of transparency and accountability in preventing and combating fraud. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, now let's bring our remarkable journey of Kenanga's virtual opening ceremony to a close. With immense and heartfelt gratitude, we extend our thanks and appreciation to each and every one of you for your unwavering and continuous support and for gracing us with your presence at the virtual opening ceremony of Kenanga's 7th FAW 2023. Throughout this event, we have not only gained valuable insights, but have also connected and shared a mission for a safer, more secure future. Now, it is our collective responsibility to take the knowledge and lessons we've acquired today and turn them into actionable steps, both in what we can do as individuals as well as in our respective organizations. On that note, thank you once again, and may your day be nothing short of exceptional.